All right, we're back. Let's have it where we're going to start taking a look at the periodic table of elements, and we'll just see what we get through. All right, so we are now on to this, and I know some of you are quite excited about this, and you've been asking about the periodic table of elements. For those who are not excited, well, I am so sorry. All right, I think what page is this? This is page 9. All right, so you should be on page 9. Keep in mind sometimes the page numbers might vary a little bit just depending on how you have formatted your previous pages and everything. Okay, periodic table of the elements. There we go, I can say this. You're gonna actually be looking at this when we are going through this. I'll have this posted to the Moodle page as well. And so this is just focusing on the periodic table of the elements. Now, we get a chance, and I'm really hoping I do not butcher his name, but I might, and that's okay. We have Dmitry Mendeleev. I think that's around the lines of how you say it. And he was a Russian scientist. Now, oh my word, you're gonna have it where you get a chance to see this video here. And it is fascinating as far as, like, I'm not sure if any of you have seen The Big Bang Theory and Sheldon Cooper from there. He reminds me of Sheldon Cooper in the sense of how confident he was in what he created. Like, it is phenomenal, his story, and even just his history as well. Like, it is wow. He has quite the personal history, and you'll find out about that in the video. But he ended up having it where he created this table of the elements. And the fascinating thing, and again, they're going to get more into that in this video here, but the fascinating thing is that he ended up getting so confident in what he had created with the periodic table of the elements that he could predict what because keep in mind, this is the 1860s, so they obviously did not have all the technology that we have nowadays. And so some elements had not been discovered at that time when he had created the periodic table of the elements. But with that being said, he left space in his periodic table of elements to be able to be filled in as they discovered these elements. And the funniest thing is he also had it where another scientist discovered this one element and had it where basically he ends up saying that it is this element and this is where it would fit in all of that. And for Mendeleev, he was so confident in what he had created with the periodic table of elements that he wrote a letter basically refuting what this other scientist had found and the type of element that it was and where it should, like how it should be correctly labeled. He refuted all of it. He ended up being right. That's the coolest thing, is he ends up having it where he's refuting this other scientist who discovered this new element, but this scientist had not classified that element properly. And Mendeleev was able to prove where that element should fit in the periodic table of elements. So that's how good he was at what he created. And that's also how confident he was in what he created, that he would actually refute someone else without being able to like have hard evidence yet. He just refuted it, like, nope, that's not right. So I thought that was pretty fun as far as just like, okay, he definitely, he felt like he knew his stuff there. With that being said, what happened is, as I mentioned, he created a table which arranged all of the elements by increasing atomic mass from left to right across each row. We'll go over that in a moment. He placed 8 elements in each row and then started again in the next row. Each column of the table contained elements with similar properties. So we'll look into that. Things like metals, non-metals, semi-metals, things like that. He tried to group them according to the properties that they had. And then he had it where the columns were called groups, and then the rows were called periods. And so that's because the table keeps repeating from row to row, and periodic means repeating. So that's actually what he was coming from, is that this is repeating. And so, yeah, the rows are called periods. Anyways, this is the video that you're going to get a chance to watch, which is this one here. And then what we'll do is we get a chance to be able to look at the periodic table of the elements and see how it's organized, see how they've increased, how it increases by atomic or actually, sorry, that Mendeleev, he had it where he organized it according to atomic mass, and then now our modern table, it's based on what he did. The only exception is that we have it where we arrange the elements by increasing atomic number. And so the atomic number, that is going to be the number of protons in an atom, just like we learned last lesson. The number of protons in an atom determines the atomic number. And that number is going to be unique for each element. You're not going to see one element have the exact same atomic number as a completely different element. That's just not going to happen. So now this is not the biggest version here. So what I'm going to do is I do have this as well. Now, please don't get overwhelmed by looking at all this different stuff on here. You don't have to know all the ins and outs of this yet. You're going to get a chance to play more with that as you go through your high school years. But this is the basics of what you need to know. We have it where there are going to be, oh, just one moment here. Actually, I'm going to go back to this one quickly because you'll see it's very clear. You can't, it's hard to see these individual elements here, but you can easily see just based on color. They show here that all the light blue, this is going to be your metals. And then the green ones here, these are the non-metals. And then we have our metalloids. And with these ones here, as you can see on this one, you actually see that it says unknown properties. These ones are still actually figuring out what the properties are of these elements right here. So that's the neatest thing, that we get a chance to keep learning and adding to our knowledge of the different elements that there are that exist right now. So with that being said, these are the main things you need to pay attention to: the metals, the metalloids, those are like the semi-metals, and then we have our non-metals. All right, so these ones are going to be more in a solid state. And then these ones are going to be usually more along the lines of gases or stuff like that. But anyways, well, not always like straight across the board, but regardless, moving on there. What you're going to do is taking a look here. This shows you how to read the table. So each element, first of all, it has its chemical symbol. So that's going to be this nice big, usually it's 1 or 2 letters. Obviously you see some that have 3, but realistically beyond that, it's either going to be 1 or 2 for the most part. And so this, the nice big letters here, that's going to be its symbol. And so for copper here, this is what we're taking a look at. And quite frankly, the Cu, it actually stands for, let's see if I say this right, cuprum, something like that. That's just the Latin word for copper. So Cu stands for copper. And then this number right here, this is the atomic number. This is the number of protons. So that means, quite frankly, if I look at the upper left corner of the box, it just simply means that there are 29 protons in there. And you'll see that with all the rest of them, this one helps you see it a little easier, is that if you look here, of course, I guess they kind of positioned it so that it's upper middle, but basically that number that's at the top, that's going to be your atomic number. Anyways, and then this bottom one down here, this is going to be the atomic mass. And so that's going to be the number of protons and neutrons. This number right down here. So it says, find a symbol for copper in the periodic table. And what is the atomic number? Well, that is 29. And then what does the number represent? That it represents the number of protons. We already covered that one. Keeping in mind the rows are called periods. Now from left to right across a period, each element has 1 more proton than the element before it. So you'll notice that going here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then jump all the way over here, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it actually keeps going up. And then you'll see if you just basically, if you just continue to go left from right, left to right, left to right, you'll see that it always increases by 1 each time there. All right, and so the number of each period represents the number of energy levels that have electrons in them for atoms of each element in that period. And I think it had to do with, I think it was the what is an atom. I think that was the one that you had last class that talked a little bit more about energy levels, as well as like how much room it would have for additional electrons to be able to join in. It's okay if you don't fully understand about with the energy levels and stuff like that. It's okay, but keep in mind here, so calcium is in period 4, so it has 4 different energy levels. Again, keep in mind, it's not a huge deal if you're not fully getting this yet. We're not going to dig too much into energy levels right now. I'm focusing more just on the atomic number and the atomic mass and just being able to find the elements on the table. That's really my main focus right now. And then we got our groups. Keep in mind that that's our columns here, and those have similar properties. All right, and these are the main ones that we're going to be paying attention to. We have the metals, and those are primarily on the left side of the periodic table. Hydrogen is just its own little thing there. And then we have our non-metals, which are on the right side here. And then we have our metalloids, which is like a little staircase, nice little staircase there. And that's basically like the transitionary metals that are going between metals and non-metals. So there's like a combination of both basically. All right, now here's what I'm going to do. We're going to take a look at the Google Doc. We're going to fill in a couple things and then I'll show you what you have for your homework. So periodic table of elements was originally made to represent the patterns observed in properties. Whoopsies, if I have my hand in that position. Properties of elements in the same family. And then each element has a fixed position on the periodic table. It's not going to jump around at all. It's always going to stay in that position. The elements are arranged in order of increasing atomic number. And so, again, you've got this in here to take a look at. I know it's hard to read, so you can always refer to the one that I'm going to also include with this. In the lesson, you can take a look at that one if you need to be able to look at it a little more clearly. So down here, we've got some nice questions. So in your own words, explain what you think the periodic table is. I actually, you can have it where you fill in what you think the periodic table is. I'll also have this on the Google check. Where do we find metals? Where do we find non-metals on the periodic table? Well, you can see that we have it where the metals are on the left side. Non-metals are on the right side. And then give the symbols of two examples of metals and 2 examples of non-metals. So looking here, again, I'll have this one on your homework check as well, but look at it. And well, really, you can't really see that one very well. Look at this and remember that all our metals are going to be on the left side here, except for hydrogen, and our non-metals are going to be on this side. Find an example of each. So like I could say silver. All right, so let's say if I said silver here, this is going to be my example. So silver, the letters here are AG. So what I'll do is I would have it where I would do the symbol, which would be, so let's say silver, and that's going to be AG. And then what I would do is I would find one more metal, and I would put that in there. And then for non-metals, I am looking on the side over here. So let's say I want to do nitrogen. So then I would do nitrogen, and the symbol for that one is just simply N. So I would do nitrogen and N, and then I would find one more. So just keep in mind, you need to have it where you find one more for each metal and non-metal. Complete the following sentence. Blah, 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 the following sentence. The elements are arranged in order of increasing, and we see here just at the bottom of this right here, it's in order of increasing atomic number. So they already have the answer on there. And then what I want you to do is have it where you find out what is the atomic number of hydrogen and what is the atomic number of carbon. Find out both. Take a look at the thing here. So we have hydrogen, and what was the other one? The other one was carbon. So find out both of those, fill that in. And then last one, this one here, this is going to be on your homework. And so I just want you to simply have it where you need to fill it in. That's all I ask for you is fill it in. What I'll probably need to do is put it into a separate Google Doc. And for that one, you'll have to have it where you just make a copy of it and fill it in and then send it to me. That'll be your homework check. But I want you to have it where you're going to completed basically. All right, so for this one, for hydrogen, I'm given the name of it. So I look on here and the symbol for hydrogen is H. So I just simply put an H. Is it a metal, a non-metal, or a semi-metal? So I take a look here again. Now this one, even though it's on the left side here, remember hydrogen is the special one. So that one is actually a non-metal. So then I would just put down non-metal. So I spell it right. Non-metal, that's it. Now here, I'm given this symbol. So now what I have to do is I have to, just do some digging. I need to find my Li. Where is the Li? Ah, there it is, it's lithium. So then what I need to do is look at that one. You can always make it bigger if you need to, and then have it where you fill in the blanks. So here would be lithium. And then over here, we know that with lithium, it's over here on this side. This is a metal. So then that means that you're going to put down metal. All right. And obviously keeping in mind, if you see anything that's like that staircase right here, then that's going to be a semi-metal. So just have it where you fill it in, fill in the blanks. And so today it's not going to be a Google form. It's going to be a Google Doc that you need to fill in. I'm hoping it's not too confusing. Keep in mind, let me know if there's anything that wasn't making sense or you need some clarification on. I have no problem helping you with that, but that's really what I'm looking for right now, is to simply have it where you complete this this Google form and have it where, not Google form, Google Doc, and just send it to me when you're done. And you'll only have this part to fill in with maybe 1 or 2 other questions. All right, take care. I hope you have a great rest of your day.